My name is Laura Bailey. I'm co-founder and chief commercial officer here at Disberse. Before we start, can I just ask you to raise your hand, please, if you've donated money to charity or a humanitarian aid cause before? Great. Keep it up, please. Sorry. Keep your hand up if you know exactly where that money went and the impact that it had. Fantastic. Okay. Obviously, not as many hands today. Global development today. So, $1 trillion flows through the sector every year from institutions, businesses, individuals, and charities. The UN estimates that up to 30% of that every year is lost to fraud and corruption. And that's not mentioning the administration costs and potential inefficiencies that now lie in those processes. Also, what's quoted is that 2.5 trillion addition is potentially needed to achieve the sustainability goals. Okay, so what is the problem? We've talked a lot about problem and blockchain and how we're going to solve things and do things for good. So, a little bit about the sector inefficiencies. The distribution and tracking of funds is not easy. There's legacy banking systems, and often it can take weeks, if not a month or two, for funds to arrive. And it's not unheard of for 5 or 10% of that to be lost on the way. If we look at our financial flows and banking and systems today, it's quite right that they're not transparent. When we're being paid by our employers and sending money, of course they shouldn't know what we're spending that money on. Obviously, this sector is slightly different, and that's what has already been touched on today. And obviously, what this leads to is a reduced impact for those that need the funds most. Okay, so our solution. Disberse is a fund management platform that drives a transparent, efficient, and effective flow of foreign aid. This enables donors, governments, NGOs, and ultimately individuals to transfer and trace. And how do we do this? Obviously using blockchain, which we've alluded to a fair amount today. What are the user benefits? Cheaper and faster transfers, locally and internationally. That's because with our business model, we can and we are aiming to access the best exchange rates we can. With Disberse, we can also have an audibility trail for reporting and governance purposes, which naturally leads to increased trust. With blockchain, there is increased security as well. I won't go into that today, but also very happy to answer questions or speak to anyone about the technological details later. Okay, so how does it work? It all sounds fantastic. But in reality, what does this look like? So, first of all, project is defined, as they always should be. Nothing different there. Then, the funds are guaranteed. This means that they are either put in the Disberse escrow account, or they can be guaranteed by the donor. Now, what this looks like is, for example, £1 million or $1 million US would simply be 1 million would be 1 million digital funds or pounds. These are then issued to the donor account. So exactly the peg of 1-to-1 of UK pounds or dollars are then converted. These are then traced and flowed down the train from donor all the way to beneficiary via whatever intermediaries are required to the very end of the train. And then they're redeemed. So this is the final step, and sometimes alluded to as the most difficult step in this whole process. There's several ways to do this, and we're looking at all of them. So we can transfer it into local currency, it can go to mobile money, or it can be a voucher system. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about our approach now, which is often where we like to see our differences and what we're quite passionate about. Up here you can see 3 of our pilots that we're working on at the moment. So a girls' education programme in Swaziland, and I'll allude to that more in a moment. We're looking at a deforestation project in Uganda and a solar distribution project in the Philippines. But actually, our approach has got 5 streams to it. Yes, technology is one, but then there's legal, there's regulatory, there's policy and government, and then there's the sector. Each of those need to be understood and brought along on this journey to make sure that we can actually make a change. And I will elaborate on that a little bit later. Okay, so our pilot. This is actually live at the moment, and I can't share results today, but they will be available hopefully by next week when everything is absolutely finalised, but it is live at the moment. So we've been working with a UK charity called Positive Women. Positive Women work with vulnerable women and children on the ground in Swaziland that are infected or affected by HIV and AIDS. So what we've done is we're working with them to transfer funds from the UK all the way through to Swaziland, and what we're doing here is 2 things with this particular pilot. We're sending money to 5 different schools, so that is paying for individual education, and it is also paying for personal development for those women. As I say, there will be more information on that in the coming week or 2. Okay, just to promise I'm coming to the end now, I'll be copying too soon. A little bit on exposure and what we've been doing this year, which is quite exciting, which alludes back to our approach. So at the beginning of the year, we finalised a partnership with Clifford Chance, so Magic Circle law firm, who are helping us develop our legal and regulatory framework, obviously here in the UK, but also internationally. In February, we were on the front of the FinTech Times, obviously talking about blockchain and humanitarian aid, and blockchain for good. In April, we were one of 10 companies chosen out of about 400 to present at the UK government FinTech conference. Also in that month, we're delighted to say that we'll be working even closer with the UK regulator, the FCA, on how this works from a regulatory perspective and finance. Ben, our CEO, who's in the audience at the back there, was on BBC Radio 4 earlier this month on the Today programme. We found out about it by his mother calling him on the train at 5 a.m. And then finally, really excited to say that we finalised a partnership with the STAR network. Now, they are actually part of Save the Children, so Carl, who spoke earlier. They have got over $100 million in funds and have got 42 members who are INGOs. So what we're looking to do there over the next coming months is finalise a pilot, a full chain pilot from DFID all the way through the chain to beneficiaries via cash transfer. So it's going to be a busy couple of months for us. Cool. Oh, well, I did have another slide, but that's fine. Oh, here we are. Apologies. Just quickly, our team. So this leads back to our approach. Within our team, we've got obviously technology experts that have been working in blockchain since 2010. We're vendor agnostic at the moment. We are building on credits blockchain. We have looked into all of them and have done a substantial amount of work with Ethereum and Bitcoin, etc. Ben, as I alluded to, is our CEO and co-founder. He's worked in the sector for his whole career, managed hundreds of millions of funds, mainly worked in sub-Saharan Africa. And then we've got Paul, who's a humanitarian aid lead, and obviously the others aren't here today, so I don't need to talk about them. Okay, but call to action is essentially, to achieve something like this, we need everybody to get on board and understand and do their bit. So if you've got any questions or would like to get involved, please do come and talk to Ben or myself that are here today.